Hello and welcome to a brand new installment of Nintendo News Report for Friday, April 14th, 2017. I'm your host, Alexander Kalafi, and today I am here to talk about all kinds of news with a complete crew of Nintendo News reporters. We got Donald Terrio.
Between everything that's happened in sports in the last 12 months and the fact that Devilish Brain Training is coming out in Europe, sure, why can't the Leafs win the Cup this year?
Like, sports this week has just been straight decimation. Like, one team, like, I've been watching, like, the baseball games. It's been, like, 10-point leads for every Red Sox game in the last week, whether they win or lose. It's been kind of nutso.
That's just like a New England sports fan to be like, it's decimation. This is what's happening in Boston. I don't know what's happening outside of it.
Yeah. You're also here, Neal Ronahan, director of Nintendo World Report. Hello.
Hi. I don't have a beef with any other. I don't even really have that much of a beef with the Red Sox anymore. I guess I'm a returning Yankees fan because they're not full of a bunch of old dudes. There's actually like verve and spunk and mediocrity for another year or two.
See, the question is Red Sox that dislikable? Because all the people who people would dislike on the Red Sox aren't there anymore, and all that's really left is like Dustin Pedroia and Mookie Betts.
Yeah, and Mookie Betts' name is fucking Mookie. Yeah. Also, Dustin Pedroia is like 5'4", and that's charming. But there was something else Pedroia did like a year or two ago that was kind of like, all right, guy.
All right. But to get away from baseball, which was self-imposed, of course.
Aaron Judge is a giant. That's all I'm going to say. That dude is tall as shit.
Should almost be playing basketball at a certain point.
Yeah. Or just hitting a lot of home runs in right field.
Zachary Miller. Hello, Zachary Miller.
Hi, everybody.
Hey.
I just completed the labyrinth.
What's your favorite baseball team, Zach?
The Milwaukee Brewers.
The Packers.
Yeah.
When you're in Wisconsin, that's what you should say for every sport. Although the Bucks actually made the playoffs, which is weird.
Yeah, we now officially hate the state of Wisconsin, at least in Canada.
Oh, okay, they're playing the Raptors.
All right, we got a fat show today with fat stacks of news. So I say, let's strap in. Let's talk about Nintendo Direct for April 12th, 2017. You know, it said it would be focused on ARMS and Splatoon 2, and about 13 of the 35 minutes was focused on Splatoon 2 and ARMS, but it was a very action-packed Nintendo Direct, and we finally saw what they meant by a new Nintendo Direct format, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really cool idea. It really...
To cover.
Yeah, no, it didn't really dawn on me of like how I kind of like that. I like that format until rewatching it, actually. Because they very plainly said, like, okay, ARMS and Splatoon 2 are going to be in this. And they were about half the show. And the way they kind of, like, broke it up, where they're like, all right, we're going to hit you with these headlines, and then ARMS. And then you're going to have another wash of headlines, and you know we're going to end on Splatoon 2. It kind of, I mean, maybe it took out a little bit of the surprise, but, like, gave it more of a defined flow.
They had like an outline.
Yeah, and I liked looking at the headlines and trying to guess what some of the ones were. I groaned when the can you figure this headline out? I groaned when I looked at that. I was like, oh, Amiibo.
Yeah. Yeah. I loved it. But I think the one interesting thing, or one of the few interesting things about the new format, is that since they structured it as headlines, it got me pondering the state of video games journalism while I was watching it, and I was like, outside of the fact that we have the ability to offer commentary and maybe the truth in certain situations, whatever that means, Nintendo's doing the press's job for them. And not only that, they're doing a great job.
Alex, where the fuck have you been for like the past decade, man? That's what Nintendo Direct has basically been doing since inception. It's what every game company has been trying to do for years. It's why you saw Ubisoft or PlayStation has the PlayStation blog, so that way they can control the messaging. I know Ubisoft has had blogs at different points. I don't know if they still do. EA used to have like X Games journalists like doing coverage for them and interviewing their teams.
Yeah, I think this is you're right, and also I think this is the greatest realization of it yet. That like Nintendo not only do they have the PR message, but they're devoting the right amount of time to the right games. Disgaea 5 might have been all of 40 seconds for the entire coverage. There were some games that were by NIS that they just talked about maybe 13 seconds, and then they were straight on to the next game. It was cool.
When you look at the archive of the show on Nintendo's YouTube channel, the outline is about yay long. But aside from the 2 blocks for Arms and Splatoon, I think the average was about 40 seconds for 28 games.
They made some tight audio packages or video packages.
Yeah. And like I said, watching it the second time through, it was fine. It's just when you're trying to plan out news coverage and do it on the fly. Let's just say the live event was a lot easier for that.
And what's interesting also to me about the new Nintendo Direct format is, while I think they landed the 40 seconds per game, especially for the smaller games, and even on like some of the mid-tier games, they only devoted a minute to. I thought the one part or the 2 parts they flubbed in this Nintendo Direct was where they talked about Arms and Splatoon 2. I would say those were my least favorite parts of the Nintendo Direct, despite those both being games I'm very much looking forward to.
I thought the Arms segment really dragged on.
It did.
And like, because I kind of get why they did it, but it doesn't make it any less boring. Because they wanted to show off a new character, and they wanted to show off the esports potential of Arms by having, like, let's have this dude commentate on a match. But it just it
kind of came off as dumb.
Like, really, they should have cut out that, or at least to me, to keep the flow going, I would have cut out that entire match that they showed. Just kind of go like, oh, like there's customizable arms, and here's a new character,
and
like say how to play the game. They didn't really do that.
No, they had the
said, well, you throw, you have these special attacks, and not telling you how you do them, but
you're right. And it's the same problem Nintendo had when they were originally showing off Splatoon, because they're trying to show off the spirit of what the game is, but they were doing a crappy job basically up until release, although they did better a few weeks before release, of showing you exactly what the experience of that game is, exactly why you should like it, exactly why you should be excited for it. I think they've done a poor job of showing off Arms, despite the fact that its concept and especially its character art looks really cool. I don't know what the single-player game in that looks like.
And it's so concerning, because all they did was like double down on multiplayer by like, oh, look, there's 2v2 matches. And I'm looking at that being like, who's asking for that? Like, if you think about, if you want to do 2v2 the way that Nintendo intends it, you need 8 Joy-Con.
Right. Like, and those things are expensive.
That is what? Yeah. That is on top. So you'd have to buy this, just play Arms 2v2. You would need to buy the system for $300, the game for $60, so up to $360, and then you need to spend $80 a pop on 3 sets of Joy-Cons. So you're looking at
$500.
$600 to play Arms 2v2.
Right.
Unless you hope that the people you're playing with happen to own Switches as well.
Yeah, which, I mean, maybe that's what they're hoping for, and the concept of the system in that regard, where you can bring them with you, like, kind of makes that a potential thing. But if you're just like, I'm in a spot where friends nearby, I'm the only one with a Switch right now. I have like one other buddy who's living farther away right now, but I'm the only person with a Switch locally. Same. So what am I gonna like? When Arms comes out, am I gonna be spending $160 to get 2 more sets of Joy-Con? I kind of hope not. What I do want to know is what kind of single player content there is, because what they showed in that Direct was like, oh, you can go to this training room and get more arm combinations. Like, no, like, even if it's like the Splatoon single player to me is, I mean, that's still one of my favorite single player experiences of the year it came out. Like, it's shorter, yes, and it's definitely like a sideshow to the main game. That the main mode of Splatoon is Turf War. But that single player was different, unique, and great. It was 5 awesome hours.
Yeah.
People say you shouldn't care about, like, oh, you shouldn't care about how much a game costs, just the quality of the game. They've done a poor job of explaining why Arms cost $60. they've done a really bad job of making the value proposition for this.
Dude, they released 1-2 Switch for $50. What the fuck do you think they're gonna do?
Yeah,
but it's ARMS is a character-driven game. They're trying to put it out as like it's like what a Pikmin length of time almost. They're trying to do with ARMS what they were trying to do with Pikmin is what it seems like to me. Except obviously it's more multiplayer focused. By the way, June 16th and also yellow Joy-Cons.
Yeah,
with
and the Joy-Con battery pack.
Yeah,
like
yes. 20 hours is not enough.
Who's asking for that? Like, it's not bad, but like they announced it, and like at first I was just like, yeah, and I was like, wait, I don't need that.
And
I wonder if
and
it
you have
comes
to
with
buy the little
conducting-
covers separately.
Yeah, it maybe comes with conducting film, so we stop having the issues with the lack of power, the lack of insulation on the left Joy-Con.
Aptly named Charlie Brown in the chat said that ARMS is online 2v2, so you don't need to buy a Joy-Con. Fair point.
I'm sure that's going to run at 60 frames a second.
I mean, dude, Splatoon runs real well.
It does.
Yeah.
Like, and this is by the Mario Kart 8 team, or at least the Mario Kart 8 director.
So it's going to run at 59.25 frames a second.
Well, yeah, if you're doing 3 or 4
Little.
players on the same system, it'll run at 30. But if you only have 1 or 2, it'll run at 60.
Yeah. Okay. That's all we really need to say about ARMS. I thought Min Min was weird. I thought it was a weird caricature of Japan having a ramen.
And they showed like 4 other characters apparently, but nobody knows what they're called.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, I think there's still a lot of potential with ARMS, and I think that the optimistic viewpoint of ARMS could be the next Splatoon. I think there's just so many unknowns with that game that, I mean, especially after like this, like up until this point, I was kind of like, oh, give them time. Like they're going to have another showcase of ARMS, and then we'll know more details. This was their time to have another showcase of ARMS, and it kind of didn't give me many answers. So I went from being optimistic on ARMS to being a little concerned. But I mean, yeah, if this game winds up what it could be in my mind, like a strong single player, cool multiplayer stuff, like good like progression with characters, it could be incredible. But we don't know that yet.
Do you think there's going to be an American character with arms made out of cheeseburgers and people clapping in movie theaters?
Or maybe he'll have like pizza arms as well.
No, that's safe for the Mario cameo.
Oh yeah. You'll have a dude with a curly mustache.
It looks like
Can
the
they
guy
just
from Chuck E. Cheese.
Wearing a red baseball cap.
All right, guys. Here's how ARMS can go. Even if ARMS, if all it doesn't even have a single player mode, ARMS could be Game of the Year if Waluigi is a playable character.
Instead of Donkey Kong like in Punch Out, it's
Yeah,
Waluigi.
yeah. It's like you get to the end and you just hear "wah," and you're like, "Oh, it's Wario." Oh no. He doesn't like. You can't equip arms. It just is long ass hands just flying out of the socket.
And you have to keep fighting him until he forces you into retirement. That's ARMS. There you go.
Are you guys interested in it? If ARMS were coming out next week, would you buy it?
Yes.
No.
The sight unseen. I'm going to give it a chance.
I don't have the multiplayer opportunities to take advantage of it, so no.
My multiplayer opportunities are probably pretty limited, and I mean I'm buying a Pro controller next week, so what does that tell you? But I still want to know more about those other 4 characters before I jump in, which we're probably not going to get.
Just single player, man. Give me a good single player mode, and I'm yours.
Yeah.
Splatoon 2, they showed off a new co-op mode, Salmon Run.
It's so good. Like everything about that was awesome.
It was so confusing. I loved the video they showed at the beginning, which made it sound like some Japanese work training video, like the 1980s.
And the best is like the end of like when they had like the follow-up where it's like the professor, the scientist, just being like, "Oh, I'm gonna decode this for you," and when he's just like, "Why would the squid people do this?" Like he's baffled by like why would they work? And it's like, oh, they get cool stuff, they get good gear.
I thought they had the same problem with Splatoon 2 that they had with ARMS, is that they did a poor job of showing off the whole package, although I have more faith in Splatoon 2 than I do in ARMS.
Well, because Splatoon is a known quantity. I mean, what are you going to show?
And they confirmed it's going to have a single player, and that it's going to be a better single player, is I think also
that's
like I feel
exciting.
like I feel like there's a way where they could have made the Splatoon 2 stuff a little more streamlined, but then it wouldn't have been weird. And I kind of like my Nintendo stuff to be weird. And this was a decidedly non-weird Nintendo Direct.
Yeah.
So I'm glad they still had the weird.
That video went so long that I got a little uncomfortable.
The best is just that, like, it's just like, oh, they fight salmon, and then a bigger salmon emerged, and then I'll have to tell my boss about that. Oh, it's a boss salmon. It's called this, and then they have to fight this, and like I rewatched that multiple times. I'm so stoked for Splatoon 2 Horde mode. Like, it's kind of what I think the game needs in a sequel, because you still have the competitive multiplayer aspect, but I've had a lot of instances, especially in the later days of Splatoon, when I kind of like would try to get people from the site to like get like a party of 8 online at the same time so we could just do custom games. If you can only have 3 people online that you want to play with, now there's another option. Like there is more ways to play Splatoon with different amounts of people, and that's great.
July 21st comes with 3 Amiibo, New Inkling Girl, Inkling Boy, and Inkling Squid, which launch on the same day, grant special gear like with the other Amiibo, except the special thing with this one is that you can use it to save clothing and weapon loadouts.
Yeah.
And you can bring them to your friend's house, which is pretty cool, and I would say a more productive use of Amiibo than the Callie and Marie just unlocking a sound test mode, basically.
Although Callie and Marie will be supported along with the original line of Splatoon Amiibo as well.
In some capacity. It could be the exact same capacity for all we know.
So July 21st is way earlier. Like, that's kind of the earliest that I thought it could possibly come out. And that's really exciting.
We have Nintendo stuff releasing in July. I mean, I don't know if it was Monster Hunter Generations last year that told them you could do this, or was it just the success of Go?
I actually... so I was talking to, friend of the site, contributor Don Koopman, about this before the Direct, and we were kind of spitballing, like, okay, so ARMS is probably going to be June. Splatoon 2, like, it's probably going to be August, but, like, what if it would be July? So we fell in love with the concept of Splatoon 2 coming out in July. Yeah. And I kind of thought about it a lot, because I think, outside of Wii Sports Club. The retail version of that coming out in July in like 2014. The last Nintendo retail release to come out in July was, I think, Mario Strikers Charged in 2007.
No,
so there's
Dragon Quest IX in 2010 was.
Are you sure that was July?
I think it was July 16th, 2010.
Really? But even still, like. I need to double check this for my own. Oh no, July 11th. Okay, so there were 2 games over a near 10-year span that came out in July, and we I think it was like E3 2013 or 2014. We had an interview with Charlie Shibeta from Nintendo. He's like I forget his exact title, but like more of like a higher up marketing guy. So like not like talking specifics about the games. And I was curious, so I asked him a question like, why don't you guys release stuff in July? And we got this kind of long-winded answer that was basically saying, like, stuff doesn't really sell then. Like we try to, that's why we the fall has been proven, that's where things sell the most. That's why we focus on those certain days. Like July, it hasn't been a big sales month for us. Mm-hmm. So fast forward after that to last July, when a little game called Pokemon Go came out on phones. And then a bunch of Pokemon games sold a crap ton in July. I don't know if that's the exact reasoning, but I mean that is like games coming out in July being a huge success. So I
Nintendo want to give it another chance at least.
Yeah, like I mean we'll see if Splatoon 2 does sell gangbusters in July. But maybe we'll see more. I mean, as we'll get to the 3DS stuff, there's even more stuff coming out in July.
Yeah, and when you look at, they want to do all these things worldwide, especially with lack of region lock on Switch. And well, I can tell you from experience that summer holidays in Japan are in August, so it helps to have them out before that.
Yeah, and I'll also point out with that whole Nintendo of America skipping July, Europe and Japan don't really do that. Like, so much so when Pikmin 3 came out, for example, that came out in August in North America. It came out in June and July everywhere else.
All right, there's your Splatoon 2. We got some Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and Ultra Street Fighter 2. Not much stuff there, just some reiterations. Nintendo's doing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe tournaments, 2 of them online. But then that brings us to Minecraft Nintendo Switch Edition,
May
11th.
The biggest. This is like I thought about it after the direct first was, okay, they have Zelda, they have Mario Kart. What's going to be the big main game? Oh, right, Minecraft.
Yep.
Comes with the Nintendo pack.
I do think that the spacing of, and it's only the digital version is out May 11th. A retail version will be out later. I do think that the timing of Mario Kart, like Mario Kart's ostensibly also a May game because it's coming out so late in April.
Yeah, but yeah, I think having those two so close to each other, that is going to do some damage. But I think Minecraft's real impact is going to come when it eventually does hit retail, for reasons that we'll get into when we talk about the Switch sales later on.
Right.
Is anybody going to pick up Minecraft on Switch?
No.
I know someone who will when they get their Switch, but I don't see. I didn't really get into the game when I played it on Wii U. So
I got it on Wii U. I played it for about 10 minutes. My wife played it for a couple hours. So I'm probably not going to get it on Switch. I'm trying. My niece really likes Minecraft. I'm trying to be cool. I want to know. I don't get it. It doesn't work for me.
Is this going to be the first proper console Minecraft that is completely playable on the go?
No, there's a Vita version.
No, but the Vita version is like an expanded version of the mobile game, right?
Yeah, this is regular. This is regular ass Minecraft.
Yeah, the Vita one was like an in between kind of thing. Like, it was better than the other mobile versions, but it wasn't necessarily up to par with the other console version.
It wasn't real.
Right. It was almost real.
Yeah.
They showed off Sonic Forces. Apparently something that looks like Bubsy is going to be the new Sonic character this time.
Like, it's not
Bubsy.
But what if it was Bubsy?
That'd be cool.
Sega, the Sonic Twitter accounts manager,
Aaron Weber,
was basically asking Aaron Weber. He was like, "Who owns the rights to Bubsy?" Asking for a friend. So even if we don't get it at launch, there's a non-zero chance that we're going to see Bubsy in 2018 on the Switch.
Yeah, Sonic Twitter was one of the original sassy promo Twitters, though.
I mean, it worked for them.
And then it worked for many people after that. Wendy's most notably.
Yeah.
Wendy's, the Deus Ex Twitter account actually has some good moments too.
It's got some sass.
Nintendo Impact Gaming in the chat is saying that the Vita version was the console version.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought so.
I thought there were some limitations between that didn't make it an exact port of the console version.
That's what I seem to recall too, but I can't speak to any knowledge of it. This ain't our forte, guys.
Yeah,
I don't have my Vita right now. Hopefully tomorrow that changes. But
I mean, I have it right next to me, but the battery's probably dead. R.I.P. Vita.
Project Makuru. That thing looks interesting.
That looks like a very early Game Freak game, actually. Have you ever heard of Mendel Palace?
Oh yeah.
That's the vibe I'm getting. It's like a modern version of that.
It's made by a company that is made up of ex-Hudson Soft people, which kind of makes sense. And also, in a way, it kind of feels like ex-Hudson people were like, wait, Konami's doing what now? Well, fuck that.
It looks like Bomberman Zero Jr.
It looks like Bomberman, but it looks like Super Bomberman R, but hopefully it's actually like a good version of a game.
And it seems to be a digital only title, so it won't be $50 goddamn.
Yeah. That's coming this summer.
Yeah, I'm actually, if that's got good online, and that might be really fun. That might be what I wanted Super Bomberman R to be.
Disgaea 5 Complete, May 23rd. Free demo launching soon in the Nintendo Switch eShop. We also got Neo Geo Masterpieces as of today. Samurai Showdown 4 came out, and then there's also Fatal Fury King of Fighters 99.
Can I ask a question about that?
Go ahead.
Why do they release every yearly version of King of Fighters? What changes?
Rosters.
Yeah, it's kind of like how there's all the versions of Street Fighter 2.
Okay.
It's just that King of Fighters was just like, I don't know, we'll make this like Madden.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll use this time with Neo Geo. Casey Gibson and I think Casey's watching. Hi, Casey. We are going to start some sort of audio video series. We don't really know the form it'll take. It's going to be called Neo Geo Neophytes, and it's going to be us playing Neo Geo games because neither of us really have experience with the platform at all. And there's all these games coming out that I'm like I think I might have played it in an arcade once, but I know nothing else about it.
There's one
A
name.
lot of those games are pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I've only played Turf Masters, and that game is excellent, if limited.
Give me Baseball Stars 2.
Baseball Stars is one of the few. There was like a weird Neo Geo cabinet in a dorm in my college that I played. I had a couple maybe drunken nights of playing Baseball Stars 2. And that was fun, but I've never put a lot of time or thought into Neo Geo games. And with this, not that there's snail's pace with Switch releases, but it's still like kind of the engine's revving up. I kind of want to play some dumb Neo Geo games that I've never played before.
Yeah, there's a version of Bust-A-Move that came out in arcades before they added Bubble Bobble characters. It's got really fantastic music. I want that real bad.
That Magical Drop?
No, it's not Magical Drop. It's actually Bust-A-Move with the geometry bouncing your bubble to other bubbles, but it's really cool.
In the same way we've talked about the Switch, or at least I've talked about the Switch being a successor to the Vita, the Switch is also a successor to the Neo Geo X Gold, which I think is really nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's also weird. Like, I feel bad for the guys who made Pocket Rumble.
Yeah.
Because their whole thing is that it's like Neo Geo Pocket Color. Meanwhile, Hamster's just like, hey, guess what? By the time you guys release the game, there's going to be 50 other Neo Geo games.
And several of them will be fighting games.
I think right now, it's half of the Neo Geo games on the platform are fighting games.
I think half of the Neo Geo games were fighting games.
Yeah,
I think
actually,
you may not be wrong there.
Yeah. To do some research.
Puyo Puyo Tetris demo came out yesterday.
I got it. I haven't played it, but I got it.
Yeah, I played the Japanese demo. I've actually heard that for some reason the English demo is more limited than the Japanese demo. But
I didn't know what Puyo Puyo Tetris was until I watched it on the Direct, and I came away thinking, I don't know if I want this. I'd rather just have Tetris.
It has regular Tetris.
I do not like Puyo Puyo.
You can play regular ass Tetris in that game, so it shouldn't be a problem.
Okay.
I mean,
it looked like it switched between them.
I truthfully don't totally understand the fervor over Puyo Puyo Tetris. It's just that I've heard a lot of people that usually puzzle game love aligns with. I've heard a lot of people say good things about it, but when I played that Japanese demo, I'm just like, this is just Puyo Puyo and Tetris. I don't get it right now.
Look at it. At least it's a version of at the very least, even if you don't get into Puyo Puyo, you can just play it as regular ass Tetris. And Tetris on a handheld, always a good thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I love me some Puyo Puyo. I played a crap ton of Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. I'm all about that Puyo Puyo, but I don't know what the hook of this game totally is, which I guess they have crazy modes. I haven't experienced it. I will likely get this regardless because I like puzzle games a lot.
We have a review of it on the site, I believe. I know I edited one, so
yeah. Don reviewed the Japanese version.
Okay, I'm gonna run through some of the less interesting ones really quick. Rayman Legends Definitive Edition coming later this year.
Who's gonna buy this one?
Not me.
No.
It's a Ubisoft game. It'll get stupid cheap at some point.
They'll actually probably hold off until they can get Xbox One and PS4 versions.
They already did.
Well. Oh, did they?
Are you talking about PS4 Pro and Scorpio?
Yeah.
Yes, there you go. Yeah.
I mean, apparently, I guess what they're adding is there
Mario and Luigi
costumes. I don't know what are they adding to this game?
I think there might be some new levels.
New levels
cool.
and 2-player co-op. like with 2 Switches.
Can
Rayman
can
Legends
Michelle and
didn't
Zell
need
just
new
fucking
levels.
make Beyond Good and Evil 2, please?
Yes.
Can we move on with our
Right?
lives?
An exclusive Kung Fu experience offers a solo mode and tournaments for up to 8 players. That's why it's
Did
definitive.
you say Kung Foot?
Kung
Yeah,
Fu.
it's the soccer mode.
Get the fuck out.
THQ Nordic bringing Cinemora EX, the Vita game from like 5 years ago. Co-developed by Grasshopper Manufacture. That's in the summer. Battle Chasers Night War, an RPG inspired by console classics and based on the Battle Chasers comic book series I've never heard of.
Okay.
before today.
Okay. So let's I put up the game profiles for this, so I was kind of reading a little bit more about Battle Chasers. That game might be really good.
And it's
It's a
first on
Kickstarter
Twitch,
game
right?
by Joe Mad. It's like Joe
Joe Mad.
Maduro or something. It's the dude who did the art for Darksiders.
Okay.
He does good work.
Yeah, like I mean, he's a great artist, and that's what I don't know the exact origins of Battle Chasers, but I think Battle Chasers might be kind of recent. But like Joe Mad is a pretty primo comic book artist, and this is like his creator-owned work is Battle Chasers, and it's a bunch of ex Darksiders guys, ex Vigil Games. They did a Kickstarter, and it looks like it's like it's kind of like a dungeon crawling RPG that I think draws a lot of inspiration from both Western and JRPGs. Like I don't know if it's going to coalesce and be a very good game, but a lot of what I was reading about on paper, Battle Chasers could be awesome.
Yeah. Namco Museum, a bunch of classic Namco games coming this summer. You got Payday 2 is coming this winter, which is
So random.
It's random. It's winter. It's late. It's like a 5-year-old game, and at the same time, the idea of a portable version of the updated Payday 2 doesn't seem like the worst thing in the world if it's like $30. It seems all right. I guess that's the extent I have to say about Payday 2.
We have to get to the big reveal of the direct. Monopoly.
That's
Finally.
the next one. Monopoly
Thank
for
God.
Nintendo Switch this fall, and also it does the HD rumble so you can shake the dice in your hand.
Okay.
Yes.
So when I was rewatching the direct,
Killer app.
I am aware that the console versions of Monopoly have largely been complete ass. Totally aware of that. Also, Monopoly, the board game in and of itself, maybe not the best board game. I kind of want to play this.
Oh, come on.
I should point out that friend of the show, Seren McNulty, has advised me that this is based off an existing PS4, Xbox One game, that you can basically take any property from the computer if you give them $1 over the starting price of the property.
Oh God!
So
can we just can Ubisoft just take this back, talk to Square, and make like Rayman Fortune Street? Like, can we just do that? Because Fortune Street has busted AI on the Wii version, but that game's fucking gold.
We got a.
I want it real bad.
We got our
it's still
board,
$50 at Target.
We got our board game coming in the 3DS section now.
Yeah, but like I can't play that in tabletop. Like, Concept, I assume, has online play. It better, right?
Yeah, it should.
Sure.
Okay, yeah, because I am playing that locally. Like we intended to play Tank Troopers at PAX East. That never happened. I don't think I'm ever playing, like, we'll get to that in a little bit. I got some words to say about the Kirby multiplayer action game.
So I have things to say about the Kirby's 25th anniversary that we're going to get to.
Can they just re-release that 20th anniversary disc that I did not pick up?
You know, Zach, when we get to the 3DS section, because we're almost done with the Switch section. Because like we're so close. I want to be done with talking about the Switch because there were like 2 really interesting things and a lot of stuff that weren't as interesting as the 3DS section.
Well, there was an interesting Switch thing in the Japanese direct, but we'll get to that.
Yes, we certainly
we're ending on that.
Yeah. Fate Extella, the Umbral Star, featuring playable
Yes.
What is this game? I don't know.
It's a Warriors game with characters.
Anime Muso. It's late. I think the Switch version is going to have like a complete edition in much the same way Disgaea 5 is, because they had like 35 costumes that were DLC paid on PS4 that are going to be included with the.
Okay, so
Switch
I can go back to not paying attention to this game.
Yes.
We'll send it off to one of the anime experts. Unfortunately, that might end up being me.
Donald, do you want to review it?
I think I put down for it.
July 25th for that game. Nintendo Switch standalone dock comes out on May 19th. And that's it.
All right, can we talk about the
I
stupid
thought it was
Kirby
out
thing?
already.
Let's talk about the Kirby 25th anniversary. To celebrate the 25th anniversary of the adorable Kirby franchise, Nintendo announced the 3 new Kirby games you want the least out of any possible Kirby game. They could
You know what?
The bottom 3 games in that list.
He's right, though. He's right. I mean, he's right.
Well, maybe like putting a 25th anniversary on the backs of like the deluxe versions of 2 mini games from Robobo. Maybe that was ill-advised. But the idea of those things existing is pretty cool. Like, I remember what they had DDD, Drum Dash Deluxe, and Kirby Fighters Deluxe came out after Triple Deluxe. And like, those were pretty fun, like, nice eShop games. I have the free-to-start Kirby Monster Hunter game. I downloaded it. I haven't gone into it. But, like, that could be really fun. Once again, no online, so I'm never playing it locally with anyone. Because it's 2017 and I have a Switch.
You'll want to go in before you start playing that and update it, because the microtransactions did not work for 2 days, and then they pushed an update out that
okay. I mean, I'm not going to spend money on this game.
I don't
famous
blame
last
you.
words I know, but I'm going to dive into it and see how it goes.
Yeah, I dove into it a little bit earlier. I whipped through the game that was in Robobo, etc. in like 2 hours.
Same.
But this seems to be an expanded version of that, which can't be too bad.
No, I mean, like I think I reviewed both of the deluxe versions of the other Triple Deluxe games, and if you want to pad your 25th Kirby anniversary, let me go read those reviews, see if those are up your alley.
They should just bundle them all in a 3DS game with a better single-player game like Robobo.
And I mean, what is it? It's Kirby's Blowout Blast is the other one, and like that was a neat little mode in Robobo. So
it was.
Yeah, Team Kirby Clash Deluxe, by the way, is what they're talking about. The free-to-start game, which launched on the day of the Direct. 4 characters. You can fight giant enemies together. It is Kirby Monster Hunter. Now Kirby's Blowout Blast. 25 action-packed 3D stages and hailing enemies and powering up along the way. Game launches exclusively on the eShop this summer. Which you were saying, Donald.
And the third one is going to be a new, I guess, mainline Kirby game that'll come out at retail.
But it's a new multiplayer action game.
So it'll be like Return to Dreamland, is what that means.
I picture in my mind a boardroom in about, let's say, 2014. Nintendo is thinking, their executives, Miyamoto's probably there. How are we going to make the 3DS last longer? I know. Let's make a bunch of online multiplayer games that everybody's going to play. Fast forward a few years later, Triforce Heroes came out. Nobody really seemed to like it, even though it is a pretty good game. Metroid Prime Federation Force came out. Nobody really seemed to like it, even though it's a pretty good game. What do you think is going to happen to this multiplayer action Kirby game? It's probably going to be a neat game, but no one's going to play it because it's
a 3DS game in
and the Switches are out.
It's all Nintendo needs to say that they have a 3DS library this year.
Also, the multiplayer, what is that? Kirby and the Amazing Mirror, was that the one you could play, like the 4-player Metroidvania thing?
I think so, yeah.
That wasn't very good. So I'm concerned about this game, and like I don't want to be concerned about the game. I like Kirby.
But you can't tell that a system is about to croak until the Kirby game comes out. I mean, we had we had Mass Attack, we had, was it Squeak Squad that came out? No, that was a DS game. I can't remember if the GBA had one, but I know
this is a faulty premise because it's been disproven so many times. Wii U didn't happen.
You could say that the Wii U was dead by February 2015.
Okay. Yeah, you could say that. I mean, actually, the truth is the Wii U Type 4 game came out. The Wii, I think, Return to Dreamland was near the end, but not the very end. DS, I don't think that. Or DS, there was Mass Attack. Game Boy Advance, I guess Amazing Mirror was later, but not like the very end.
Yeah. Although the last retail game on Wii before the Wii U came out was that Kirby Anniversary Collection Zach mentioned earlier.
Yeah. So Rizza 36 said my new
whose phone is vibrating, by the way?
I'm taking it off the table.
You need
just turn it off a vibrate, man.
Yeah, I'll do that too.
All right. So Rizza 36 said in the chat. That my game concept that might rival F-Zero GTA, which is Captain Toad Federation Force.
That's pretty cool.
I'd play that.
I'd see the continued adventures of Captain Toad. Who wouldn't?
Okay, so let's say Mario Odyssey comes out and it's got a side mode and Captain Toad's like riding the subway. You in?
Yeah, I'd prefer if it was a different character, but yeah.
Like maybe it's like, all right, so they got the whole Donkey Kong concept with New Donk City and like Diddy Street and everything. What if so Captain Toad's on the subway and he's basically like playing like 3D versions of old Donkey Kong stages.
Well, okay. The Boston MBTA is there's the red line, there's the green line, there's the orange line. You could do different color toads to denote each of the subways.
Yeah. And you'd have to transfer at certain points.
You have to wait like 7 minutes for the next one, and then one train would be so packed that you just have to wait for the next 7-minute train.
It would be,
or maybe
Breath of the Wild, but the subway version.
So it can also be multiplayer because you can have the different. Each person can control a different colored toad as they're going through the subway.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Okay.
Someone make Captain Toad's Subway Adventures, please.
I'm too used to just hitting a button and paying the fare and just going.
Now, Captain Toad Subway Adventures or Captain Toad Subway TM Adventures.
It depends if they get the licensing from the MTA.
Hey Pikmin, which is kind of a funny title because
Hey,
yes, it is.
Or tweets about it. He's like, "Hey Pikmin," because it's a very confusing title because you feel like everyone who says it's title is very excited about the game, despite the fact that the game isn't very exciting. July 28th, and it's a new Pikmin game, 2D only, and it's all on the bottom screen. It feels like a DS game from 2006.
Okay,
Yeah,
the best part about that
Amiibo.
game. Did you guys see the box art? The box art's awesome.
It is pretty good.
Like I don't know if that game's going to be good. We still don't know actually who's developing it. Everybody just assumed Arzest, which might be true, but there's been actual no proof.
I'm actually interested in the game because I like Pikmin, and a 2D Pikmin could be cool.
I could see that game. It's like ARMS right now, where there's a potential for that game to be good. We don't know. There's a lot of unknowns, like who's making it for one. And like I hope it's good. I want it to be good. Is it going to be good? I don't know.
They had a hand in Mario and Sonic on the Wii U. They had both the 2016 Olympic Games. They had a hand in.
Yeah,
Arzest did. And
I think
I'm on
they
their website
assisted
now.
Sega, whatever.
Me Trek, they also did. They did Boost, Beast, Terra Battle, Yoshi's New Island, but nothing on a potential Pikmin game. It looks like their style, and that it's very ugly when shown on Nintendo Direct.
Yeah.
No, I mean that's the thing. It like I will admit that it looks like a game that Arzest might make, but everybody assuming that it's Arzest is just because it looks like a game they might make, not of any actual confirmation.
What is Skip up to nowadays?
It could be Skip. Like it also looks like a game that Skip would make.
Yeah.
The difference is that Skip makes games that I like. Arzest makes games that like,
They consistently make 5 out of 10s.
I don't know. I think you gave Yoshi's New Island more than a 5 out of 10.
I think I give it a 6.5.
You gave it a 6.
Yeah.
6.5.
You gave that game about 4.5 points more than it actually deserves.
That game's not that bad, man.
It's not good, but it's not that bad.
I'm not saying it's much more than a 6 or something. I think I reviewed it. I might have given it a 7 at the time. I don't think it's a great game. I don't think it's a bad game. I think it is like a 6.
It's all right.
It'll do.
It's almost as good as Yoshi's Island DS. That's the fairest.
Yoshi's Island DS tried more, but it's a worse game.
Yeah. Miitopia, speaking of 5 out of 10s, comes out later this year.
I think it got a 5 out of 5.5 from Don when he reviewed it, the Japanese version. I'm probably not even going to bother with Miitopia, honestly. Like talking to people who played the Japanese version, it doesn't seem very good.
No.
So it's a one-note joke that repeats for about 10 hours.
Yeah, like I played Tomodachi Life. I got that humor out of Mies. I'm good.
Well,
and Don is in the chat right now saying, "Hello, I am here to say Miitopia sucks."
All right. Well, let me ask you this, Neal: are you still curious and excited and interested in Ever Oasis coming out on June 23rd?
Ever Oasis might be the game I'm the most excited for. That's not called Super Mario Odyssey.
Dude, we still don't know what the game is. What do you
They've
do?
explained it several times. It's made by the guy
You just build up your town?
They showed a fucking gameplay demo
They
at
actually
E3,
showed
Zach.
off quite a bit of this game.
Yeah.
Oh, did they? I missed that.
It's not. I didn't pay attention to it because I wasn't interested in it, but they did show off the game.
I mean, it seems like there is an aspect where like and I'm going off of like I wrote a preview of it. I think if you look at an issue of Nintendo Force from a couple months ago, I did a lot of research into this game of what we knew at the time. But the basic hook is that like I don't know, there's an oasis. You're working with some water sprite to make it better. So there's kind of a town building aspect, and then there's like a combat that's kind of mana inspired. Because the director of the game is the dude who made like Secret of Mana. So I think you have 3 players at a time. There's puzzles. It's by Grezzo, who also worked on all of the Zelda 3DS remakes.
They do good work.
My hope for this is that it will prove that Grezzo's work over the past 6-7 years was not for naught, and now they're a very good developer that has learned from remaking classic games and are going to put together a pretty awesome game that mixes together town development aspects with action RPG mechanics and Zelda-like puzzles.
Okay.
That is the good end for Ever Oasis if it hits that trifecta.
Word. Fire Emblem Echoes, Shadow of Valencia. It has a DLC plan, just like every other Fire Emblem game.
Yeah,
3DS.
I did like that.
It's not a bad thing. It's just the same thing.
Yeah, when they were like, "There's something new, DLC," and it's like, "Oh, okay."
Oh,
weekly new maps, dungeons, and challenges. Launch timing revealed in the future.
Same thing they did with Fates, basically. And hey, the Fates DLC wasn't actually extortionate like the Awakening stuff. But then again,
the Awakening stuff is real bad.
was also 4 years ago. Nintendo has learned a lot about how to do DLC since then.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of Nintendo's bad DLC was the result of them not knowing how to use the market correctly, more than them trying to get one over the consumer. Like it seems like their DLC's been a lot more fair in recent years. I do
love that Mario Kart 8 is probably the DLC that they regret, because they're like, oh, we totally could have gotten people to pay more money for this. What were we thinking? But like everybody looks to the Mario Kart 8 one is like, what a deal! When in reality, Nintendo's probably like, shit, we could have done $10 a pack.
We left so much money on the table with that DLC.
Bye Bye Box Boy is now available.
I bought it. I still haven't even played 2, and I immediately got the Amiibo costumes.
I'll probably get this eventually. It's weird. I really like the first Box Boy. I really like the second Box Boy. But I think there's also a little part of me that, like, knowing it's the last one, I don't
want to say goodbye.
Yeah, like I'm not ready yet. Like I'll save that for like a sad weekend, like maybe like it's like really rainy out, and then I'll say goodbye to Box Boy.
Okay, so there's Bye Bye Box Boy now available. There's also demos for all 3 of the Box Boy games.
It's one demo for all 3. It's like a series demo instead of just being tied to one game.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that was a really good 3DS eShop series. Like tremendous.
Box Boy for Smash.
Box Boy Assist Trophy is, I think, the only thing we can hope for.
Let's go into my favorite game from the Nintendo Direct.
RPG Maker Fez.
You know what? That's actually kind of cool. Well, we will get to that one because I read the press release for this game, and like them trying to sell the RPG Maker and the RPG Player, like that actually does seem kind of cool.
Yeah, like I'll play people's games.
Right, you can play people's games for free, and if you want to make it, you can buy it. Yeah,
it looks awful.
That's what RPG Maker games are, Zach.
I know it is, but it looks awful. I can't do it.
A beautiful high art masterpiece here,
or it's to the moon. It ends up.
I should like remake the Player One RPG or do the NWR RPG in there.
Yes.
If anybody wants to make the NWR RPG, let me know.
And
we'll get the hell out of that.
June 27th for RPG Maker Fest, since we talked about it. But no, Monster Hunter Stories coming out.
Oh yeah, I forgot. That game looks great.
It looks.
I'm sure the Amiibos will be coming with it. They didn't say it would, but
I looked up what people said about Monster Hunter Stories, and it seems like it's not a perfect game, but it's like a really good game, and it seems like it is the lighthearted Monster Hunter game you want it to be. turn-based battles and you aren't killing monsters, you're basically being
You're Pokemoning them.
You're a tamer, or you're a breeder, or a rider. I forget what it is. Can you make
it looks really cool. Like it's a fresh take on Monster Hunter.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, it looks great. Like the actual visual design of that game looks pretty tremendous. I don't know if the Amiibo is going to come over, but I bet worst case scenario, the Amiibo functionality will exist in the game, so you'd probably be able to buy the other Amiibo. Although knowing how the West picks up Amiibo, I bet the Amiibo come over too.
Yeah, I think at the very least they'll be like Amazon exclusive, but I guess we'll talk Amiibo exclusivity later as well.
Right. Yokai Watch 2, Psychic Specters. It's basically the Pokemon Crystal of Yokai Watch. Adds new stuff, comes out this fall.
I never did get into Bony Spirits, and I'm sure as hell not touching Fleshy Souls, but I think I might go for this one.
I don't think I'm ever going to play a Yokai Watch game again.
I remember James saying on RFN that Yokai Watch 2 kind of reuses all the assets from 1. And that's when I said, oh, maybe not, never.
It felt like for the first couple hours, I was playing the same game.
Oh,
and then, they do some cooler... I mean, yeah, because Alex and I, we both played through those. But, it does some cool things in the back half, but, I have no desire to ever touch that series again now.
I like the heart of the game. I thought it played like a localized Saturday morning Kids WB cartoon. But as a video game, it was.
It's a slog.
Yeah, it's a 20-hour slog. I don't regret it, but would I play Yokai Watch 3 if that came out next spring? I don't know quite yet. Yeah. I'm very curious if Yokai Watch 3 comes out. It probably does. If they delivered this Yokai Watch 2 version, they're probably putting out Yokai Watch 3.
Yeah.
There's one more NIS game other than RPG Maker Fez. There's Cul-de-Sac Revolt coming on August 29th. We already knew about that, but that game's supposed to be really good.
Yeah, that's a game that I'll probably just get sight unseen because everybody I talked to is just like, it's incredible. Also, it's a board game. I like board games.
It's a board card game.
As evidenced by the fact that I'm like, Monopoly on the Switch, huh?
Amiibo. New Zelda Amiibo, Majora's Mask, Twilight Princess, and Skyward Sword Amiibo launching on June 23rd. But more interesting, the final Smash Bros. Amiibo, 2 versions of Cloud Corn and Bayonetta will hit July 21st. There's these player 2 versions of Amiibo. Certain retailers have certain versions. Is Smash Switch happening?
Yes, I'll bet they announced it at E3 because that's before these things launch.
I've got some thoughts about all 6 of these pieces of shit.
I want the Bayonetta Amiibos. I don't care what it costs me.
I know you do. I could have told you. I saw Bayonetta Amiibo. Yes, Zach wants that. He wants both. First, let's focus on the Zelda June 23rd stuff. I think Ever Oasis is going to have Amiibo support for Zelda Amiibo. Cool. Grezzo has the history of the Zelda series. These Amiibo are coming out on the same day as that game. Also, I really want all 3 of those Zelda Amiibo. Everyone's apparently a retailer exclusive, and they're all already sold out. So, I think I broke because I'm just looking at them and I'm like, don't care. I love Zelda. I would like to get those Amiibos very much, but it's not worth it. It's not worth the hassle.
They should come. I mean, they should come up for pre-order again before they come out. I mean, we've got E3 to worry about, and I think it breaks down to there's one of those Player 2 Amiibo and one of the Zelda Amiibo are each exclusive to GameStop, Amazon, and Best Buy. Yeah,
it's just that if I'm just sitting on the computer one day and it's the Majora's Mask on Amazon is up, I'll get it. If on June 23rd, I might walk into a Best Buy and or a GameStop and be like, yo, is this Amiibo there? And if they're like, nah, then I'm like, all right, cool.
Worth a shot.
Because with Amiibo, you have 2 chances. It's either one, you're never going to see that Amiibo for the rest of your life, or it's going to be $4 on a clearance section in 2 months.
Yeah. But that really only applies to the shelves upon shelves of Animal Crossing Amiibo that are still.
No, even those Mario Amiibo that came out around Mario Party Star Rush.
So you mean the silver
those by mid-December they were all half price, And even
Wow.
the Zelda amiibo, until Breath of the Wild came out and people lost their minds, you could get those cheaper in like January and February.
Yeah, I think I got my classic style Mario 8-bit for $5 on BestBuy.com at one point. Yeah, a lot of amiibo are pretty cheap now.
Yeah,
I'm just getting my
and
RPG
that's the
now.
thing, is that like I mean, I think that like if I can walk into a store and buy an amiibo or just easily order it off Amazon, I'm in. But
Yeah.
all this like Amazon's gonna put up the pre-order at 3:00 on a Friday. Let's go. Like, no, I'm not playing this game anymore. It's
I
not.
don't have time for that shit.
That being said, I do really want all 3 of those amiibo. They look great.
I'm not too big on the Zelda ones, but the Smash Brothers ones, I have the feeling I'm going to buy. I'm still torn as to whether I'm going to buy one Cloud or both, but the other 2 I'm getting both.
I can like, because I don't really have an attachment to any of those, like the final 3 Smash Brothers characters. Those will be like, I'll walk into a GameStop and be like, there's a Cloud amiibo, I'll pick it up. Like, that's what I did with Ryu. That's what I did with a lot of the Smash Brothers amiibo, which is like, it's there. This is a low barrier for entry. I'm in.
It's just I really don't want to. Like, part of me wants to buy the Advent Children Cloud, but part of me is like, Advent Children had a great fight scene at the end, but it was a very bad movie.
I bought Advent Children the day it came out on DVD.
Me too. And then I gave it away.
I questioned a lot. I think I may have put that in a prize pack for like Jeopardy or Nintendo Wearer PAX East. So if you're listening to this and you have my copy of Advent Children, thanks. But yeah, and as far as Smash Brothers, well, what I assume would be called Super Smash Brothers Deluxe. Like, I feel like that should be the shorthand for the Switch version of Smash Brothers, because I think that's the naming convention they'll probably go with. I think that's coming out this fall, and I think that will be announced at a later Nintendo Direct or at E3. Yeah.
Shoot, I was gonna, where I'm honestly going with this now. I wonder if the Smash Brothers Deluxe comes out the day those Amiibo do. If Splatoon 2 coming out, come out the same day.
I don't think they're going to start coming out with Player 2 versions of the Smash Brothers Amiibo. Like, let's get real.
Yeah, they are.
But I was just thinking that they would probably be playing Smash at EVO the weekend before on Switch.
You know what's going to happen? They're going to say, hey, this fall we have Smash Bros. Deluxe coming out. And we've also started to introduce Player 2 models. So if you missed out on getting Duck Hunt Dog the first time, now you can get a Player 2 model of Duck Hunt Dog. And hey, you can also see the first versions of these Player 2 Amiibo with the Cloud Corn and Bayonetta Amiibo when they come out next month. That's what they're going to say.
And when's EVO?
The weekend of the 16th is the weekend before Splatoon 2 comes out.
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if it's like I could see a world where that Smash Brothers game isn't at E3 or even mentioned, and I could see it being announced at EVO, because Nintendo is having an increased presence there. They seem to be kind of serious about Smash Brothers and Splatoon and ARMS as viable, esports titles.
Yeah.
And I think they could offer sponsorship and support, which I think they already do. And yeah, having a new version of Smash Brothers playable there would be huge, or even just announced.
Yeah, with because they've done announcements for games like that at EVO before. I think Tekken 7, I want to say, got announced first at EVO.
Yeah,
and then the question is, what do they include? But I'm thinking at that point you've got a fusion of the 3DS and the Wii U versions, plus a couple of characters, like maybe they actually bother with the Ice Climbers.
Yeah.
Although I think my favorite fake for going into this whole direct was Super Smash Brothers for new 3DS.
Yeah.
2 more international points of this Nintendo Direct, and then we can move on to our last 2 headline tier stories. Senran Kagura Refure coming to the Switch. HD Rumble. It's because they showed off the HD Rumble at a large. They were showing like this Japanese pudding shaking back and forth, and like they had these scientists trying to make sure it was accurate. Use the HD Rumble to touch and hold jiggly things. Probably also simulates holding your GF's hand.
Or
and if you're wondering why Zach is glowing right now, that's why.
Yeah.
I'm just excited the series is coming to Nintendo platform again.
Yeah.
Portably.
And I mean there was that tease of, oh, we want to see Senran Kagura on the Switch. Okay, here's the box where Stevil Versus sitting on a Switch.
Yeah, that was cute.
Would Nintendo allow a dating simulator that takes advantage of the HD rumble for this kind of stuff, assuming it does not get into full hardcore pornography tier?
I don't think Senran's going to be a dating game.
But it just made me think about the potential for dating games.
Oh.
And if Switch is ever emulated on PC, what kind of homebrew could get made using the HD rumble? I'm very curious.
And I just want to point out, this is only announced for Japan right now, but the Switch is region free.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And Zach has already called the review for this game.
Yes, he has.
Speaking of games coming out in July, Devilish Brain Training comes to
That's the
July.
funniest part.
Finally, after 4 years.
Yeah, this game came out in Japan in 2012, and ever since it came out in North America in 2013, it's always had this TBD in Nintendo's financials for when it's coming out in Europe. And now that we've killed Project Giant Robot and Devilish Brain Training is coming out, I don't know what that game is going to be now. That gets pointed out in every direct or in every financial call.
Devilish Brain Training, Brain Age Concentration. I'm going to say this every time the game comes up, but it's a very good 3DS game that people should play.
Wait, didn't we talk about this game on this show a couple of months ago with Don?
No, we totally did. And I said it was a very hard game that's very much worth playing.
Did we summon that game from the ether where it was lying for so many years?
What if they just forgot to release it and then like, the one Nintendo employee who's ever seen this show, that's not happening. They're probably not allowed to watch this stuff. But
That would be funny.
I don't know. No, I wouldn't say we're responsible for it, but I think Devilish Brain Training is a fine video game. That's all for this Nintendo Direct. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. It brought us over an hour, and we have 2 fat news stories left, which we will devote the time they need to, although like it won't be that too long. Neal, I'm gonna tell people what this is, and then I'm gonna let you break it down because I know you have things to say about the NES Classic Mini.
Do I?
I'm sure you do.
I can say things.
I assume you do. Anyways, Nintendo confirmed the discontinuation in a statement to IGN today that the final shipments of the NES Classic Edition would be the last. Throughout April, NOA territories will receive the last shipments of Nintendo Entertainment System, NES Classic Edition systems for this year. We encourage anyone interested in obtaining this system to check with retail outlets regarding availability. We understand that it has been difficult for many consumers to find a system, and for that we apologize. We have paid close attention to consumer feedback, and we greatly appreciate the incredible level of consumer interest and support for this product. What's so weird to me is that they start to have like an apology. They start to say like throughout April, they're doing this. We encourage anyone interested to finally get this system. What gets weird is when they say, we understand that it has been difficult for many consumers to find a system, and for that we apologize. We've paid close attention to consumer feedback, and we greatly appreciate the incredible level of consumer interest and support for this product, but they don't address the fact that there's still an incredible consumer interest, and they're not going to put out any more, and I'm very confused.
This is the weirdest thing. Like, that's my, like, I don't really know if I have too much to say about it, because it's just, like, it's preposterous. It's like they had this really, really successful thing. They totally miscalculated on supply for it, and they're just kind of like, all right, we out.
Yep.
They never even open, aside from maybe once at Target, I don't think they ever open pre-orders for this. So every time they've gone on sale here, they have been gone like that. Best Buy Canada I think somebody figured out they had about 300 systems that they listed on their website yesterday at about 6 Eastern. And at 6:00:03, they were gone.
Half of those are scalpers.
Yeah, people are botting the hell out of the NES Classic. And surely this information has to get to Nintendo, because the way they track their systems, they know this shit. So why are they walking away from potentially so much money in a way of getting all these lapsed gamers of the NES era back in the fold.
So I think if we look to like why they made this decision, like I think it's preposterous, but as to why, I think that system might be more of a loss leader than we all kind of thought. Like I think they might have done a limited run of it because it was expensive to produce. And I think the goal of getting people to give a shit about the NES again, I think it did that. It might have also been a little bit of a stopgap because all they had was Pokemon last year. Like they went into a holiday season with a single system. They haven't done that in, I don't know, several decades. Like it might have just been a stopgap to kind of stave off until the Switch, and that's part of the reason why they kind of planned it to just like, all right, like we're not going to make a hell of a lot of money on this. It's going to be a loss leader, but we'll have it roll out for a couple months, and then people will be, maybe it'll drum up interest in lapsed gamers.
Mm-hmm.
It's nonsense that Nintendo of America had no idea that like we would want this.
Yeah, that's a lie.
It like, especially after Amiibo, like hopefully they learned from Amiibo. I guess they didn't. In that, like, hey, guess what? Like, that's nice, Sakurai, that you said that people should just get one Smash Brothers figure that's their favorite. That's not how people roll in America, apparently. No. As evidenced by the legions of Smash Brother Amiibo that I'm drowning in. But I mean, the NES, like, just the fact that they're shutting it down so quickly, like it's a shorter shelf life than the damn Virtual Boy. Like it doesn't make any sense.
And it probably outsold the Virtual Boy, all things considered.
Yeah. I do think this is not the last that we've seen about the Classics label.
No, I think
I fully expect something out before the end of the year. I've heard some murmurs that it might be like a Super Nintendo Classic. Like, I don't know, like maybe they'll release the NES Classic without the third-party games or something. Like maybe there will be a Game Boy Classic. Like, who knows? But I think we will see more of this. But I just think like they'll kind of go back and hopefully learn from this failure of the NES Classic. Because even if it sold really well, the entire product launch was a failure.
Yeah.
Even if it was a sales success.
It wasn't really that much of a success considering the numbers we're talking about. It was like a couple 100,000 the month it launched in the US because it got tracked in NPDs. And if you are crashing Amazon, you've got a hot product.
Yeah.
But I think honestly, what they probably could do is bring this out in a month or two again, and this time don't put the USB port on it. The service port, because I wonder how much the fact that you could load every NES game ever onto this thing, apparently had enough memory for it and have it work the same way, was maybe that they figured that's going to cut into sales of the NES Classic 2.
Okay, they're not fucking relaunching the system in 2 months.
Right,
that's nonsense.
This thing's done.
If they were going to do that, they could have said that the other day instead of saying that we're discontinuing the product. Like that's
called a reprint when that happens.
Yeah, like that's a failure to communicate. If in like E3 they're like, and there's a new NES Classic, like it's the same thing, but there's no USB port. Like no, like that's just like, it was a manufacturing glitch, like the stupid Switch Joy-Con. Like if we do see anything, it's not going to be until like fall, like probably the same announced schedule of the NES Classic. Like reveal in like what was that, July or August, and then have it come out in like October or November.
I agree with the idea that NES Classic would be too expensive to produce. Does not surprise me one bit, because I'm sure Nintendo has deals with the 5 to 7. It's probably 3 to 7 different publishers who have games that are on the NES Classic. But I bet they get some amount of pennies or some amount of dollars, or it's probably pennies, for every single NES Classic. You have that for 7 different publishers for however many different games, and then you have however much the NES Classic costs, however much it costs to ship, and then let's say they're not making much money at all on those. They can't just reprint it and say it's the exact same thing but $20 more expensive, even if it would still sell great, because the PR blowback would not be worth it.
do they throw some more games on that maybe they were saving for a second rev anyway?
Well, if the problem was
And-
sharing profits with publishers, that would just make it worse, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I'm just saying put first party stuff on there so it gets the same money back anyway. So like maybe ice hockey and pro wrestling get on there.
Sure.
But
ice hockey $20.
But, I mean, the $20 ice hockey tax. Sad thing is, I would probably pay that, but Koei Tecmo, Square, Capcom, Konami. That's pretty much it as far as the third parties on the Classic, isn't it?
Okay. Yeah. But
So
the amount of games combined from those publishers.
Yeah, Square probably doesn't give a shit about Bubble Bobble, but they want some Skrilla for Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we've talked about the NES Classic. Oh, we certainly can. That brings us to our final story. The Switch first month sales for the United States announced it is the fastest selling system in Nintendo history, which doesn't necessarily mean all that much by itself. My favorite part of this press release has got to be everyone's favorite part of the press release, that The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild has a 102% attach rate.
We laugh about it, but it's what my brother did. He had Zelda day one, but he couldn't get a Switch until just like last week.
906,000 units of the Switch in America in the first.
Yeah, and that is, and for the record, that is depending on rounding errors, it's like one of the 3 biggest console launches in U.S. history, behind the PS4 and Xbox One.
I was surprised when that graph was being shown on Twitter of first week launches for different hardware. Game Boy Advance was beating down doors too. It's right up there with the Switch. I was shocked.
Yeah.
Game Boy Advance was the first true follow-up to like a portable console that lasted over a decade.
Yeah, that's no, I get it, but it was just weird to see that.
Dude, is the Game Boy Color a different system? I feel like the Game Boy Color is a different system.
It's like a 3DS. It's like a new 3DS.
Is it a new 3DS?
Yeah.
Or DSi.
It's because there's such a huge Game Boy Color library that it almost feels like a platform.
But most of that, I'd say a half to 3/4 of that lineup can play on an original Game Boy or Super Game Boy. So the exclusive portion of that library, it's growing, but same way the new 3DSs is growing, but still enough that you may as well consider it the same system.
Sure. Zelda also sold 925,000 copies on Switch in the same time period, plus an additional 460,000 units on Wii U. Nintendo attributes this to the game's limited editions, like people buying one to collect, one to play, and people purchasing second copy. They don't have a Switch, but they have a copy of the game.
Yeah, Nintendo's press release explicitly highlighted the first of those regions. I actually ran a poll on the NWR Twitter account last night, which was a 24-hour poll, and about a third of respondents say yes, that I did that.
Really?
Or that makes sense. So the other ones were either
the question was, why did Zelda Switch outsell the Switch?
Yeah, and it was basically, I think 40% said I don't have a system yet, but I bought the game anyway. And then I threw in an other, which is basically Thor 2: The Dark World, and then there was the comedy option of too many people licked the cartridge, which I think is 15%.
Yeah. So how many people voted ultimately? It was like 250, right?
Yeah, but 250 people. So not as big a sample as I would have liked, but I think it's pretty representative of the situation.
For our little show, 250 is a decent number. And yeah, I think that's fair. A lot of people can't buy the system, but they want Zelda because Zelda's hyped as like the next sliced bread. And then you have people who actually did buy the limited edition, like Justin B. He bought every version of that game and might have extra copies.
I've heard of people getting
whatever Justin does for a living. That's the job I want to.
But I know of people that bought limited editions and then bought it digitally as well. So you had that in addition.
Yeah.
That's valid.
So Nintendo's would count that in their numbers, but maybe NPD doesn't. So when the NPD numbers actually come out next week, maybe Zelda isn't selling at 102%.
That's weird. I forgot that they released all this information before the NPD even came out.
Yeah. Well, I think I think the way the NPD does their release now, like they have some information comes out the week before, like we find out who won the hardware race that month, and then this time next week we should have a spreadsheet hopefully with like here's the top 10 games for everything and the hardware race. So what I think this is going to end up meaning is that before launch, I remember saying I don't know what the floor is for the Switch. It could be Wii U. At this point, I don't think I can say that, considering the Switch did in 1 month what it basically took the Wii U 3.
Yeah.
It's insane.
I mean, there's a lot of. Well, I mean, okay, so I saw people talking about Nintendo post the Nintendo Direct, talking about the Switch in general, about how if you look at I mean, I think I saw some number somewhere that there were like 30 games shown, like 20 of them were ports, which I think that isn't a great look. Like a lot of those Switch games that we saw are games that came out on other systems already, and they're just coming to Switch later in the year.
Some of them years ago.
Yeah. Like I mean, and I'm not necessarily like that's not a great thing. I'm not saying that's a bad thing because a lot of these games are games that have never. Games and series that have never been on a Nintendo platform before, so that's cool.
2 generations old, in some of these cases.
Like what?
Like Payday.
Oh, Payday, yeah.
Payday and Rayman, because that came out on PlayStation 3.
I mean, it's on Wii U. It's. I mean, that's Nintendo's last system. Yeah. And Payday 2 is still like an active game though, right?
Oh yeah. It has an extremely active community.
Yeah.
They did good things to it.
Yeah, and that's not necessarily exciting, but it's also like not like bad. It's just kind of like middle of the road.
There's someone who's very excited for it, and their feelings are very valid.
Yeah, there might not be a lot of those people, but they exist.
Is this just publishers needing to get something on the system quickly to prove they have a presence, so that they can, when they bring something original out, they are a bit of a known quantity to the Switch audience?
Okay. I don't understand why that would be a logic. I think the real thing that happened here might be more that Nintendo got on their hands and knees and were like, EA, just FIFA, please, for the love of God.
I don't know. Would Nintendo have had to ask very hard for something that I think has to be on every valid
platform?
Maybe they did because that's the only game EA's bringing. Like EA dropped Wii U like a bad habit. Like a lot of third-party publishers did. Like I imagine there were probably a lot of like mea culpa meetings from Nintendo like last year. Them going to third-party publishers that either didn't support Wii U or supported it barely, and like I don't really understand why you would have publishers being like, oh, of course we want to spend resources and money putting our games on a system that might not have an audience.
Yeah. That's
but just the state of the Switch in general, though. Month 1 was a success. Like, might just be because of Zelda, honestly, but like we saw the numbers, like almost 1 million in North America month 1 in March. That's great. That's awesome. I think there's some data, I don't know how legit it is, but like 2.4 million worldwide. That is a success.
I think they're basing that on North America because Japan's numbers are pretty well public knowledge.
And I think the Europe numbers are pretty close as
estimates.
Well.
Yeah.
And I mean, we knew they originally said 2 million were going to be out in March, and then I heard some scuttlebutt that they were like upping the production order because of good pre-order buzz. So like I think there might have been like 2.4, 2.5 million systems out in the wild worldwide by the end of March.
And they're disappearing not as fast as NES Classics, but they're coming up all the time and they're sold. It's like, oh, Switches are up on Amazon. Oh, they're gone 5 minutes later.
Yeah, I mean, and that means that they have a decent flow of the systems coming in. But I guess speaking directly to the content of, I guess, repetitive third-party games on the Switch and this Nintendo Direct, this Nintendo Direct across the board was a lot of like setting the table for stuff we already knew about. Yeah, we had a couple third-party announcements, but there wasn't really any like big new reveal, like except for like there's a 3DS Kirby game coming out. I think that E3 is going to be where we see what comes out in the second half of the year more definitively. And probably if there are some third-party big guns that they've negotiated, like that Rabbids Mario game, that's going to be at E3. That's going to be when they should show off like any cards they have up their sleeve.
Any major exclusive or brand new things that would be to the Switch, because I'm seeing a scenario where in November, potentially, if the rumors are true and we have some things based on historical precedent, that they have a physical version of Switch Minecraft, because that came out on Wii U on disc about 6 months after the eShop release.
I think that'll be out in the fall. I think that's a safe assumption.
Mario Odyssey and a mainline Pokemon game. I believe the record for systems sold in 1 month in the US is 3.7 million, held by the Wii. I think the Switch, if those come out in the same month, we might see a new champion.
I don't think so.
You don't think it's going to
agree to disagree? Yeah. I mean, I think it would be really good, but I think like best ever month, like the reason why, because was it the Wii that held the title, or was it like PS2?
It was Wii. It was December 2009.
Yeah, Wii was lightning in a bottle. You can't replicate that. Like I could see like a really good showing for the Switch in November, but I don't think best ever, because I think Pokemon would be a huge deal. But I also think like Mario Odyssey, as much as we're all stoked for that, 3D Mario games have never been huge sellers. Not bad sellers, just not outside of like Mario 64 selling the N64, like no other game has really sold a system as well. Critically acclaimed, but not like, I mean, New Super Mario Brothers mopped the floor with every 3D Mario game that came out alongside it.
Yeah.
But yeah. How about that Xenoblade Chronicles 2?
Yeah.
That could be out too.
I think we'll have to agree to disagree on that one as well.
I think I'll stand by. I've been vocal about this. I think that Xenoblade Chronicles 2, worst case scenario, it's out like February next year. Like I'm very confident that before this time next year, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 will have come and went.
I will have played the hell out of it.
And we will see on a future episode of Nintendo News Report whether that holds water. Yeah. But that'll do for another episode of Nintendo News Report for April 14th, almost April 15th, 2017. Alex Kalafi, Neal Ronahan, Donald Terrio, Zach Miller, patreon.com/NWR.
I have a thing. I don't know what Zach just discovered God. I don't know.
Senator Carver coming out of North America?
And join us for the Patron Game Club. If you are a patron subscriber, join the conversation talking about Ghost Trick. We're going to be recording a podcast for that at the beginning of May. It's going to be me, Casey Gibson. Hey, staffers, if you guys want to play, let me know. You can join in. And also, if you are a patron at the $15 a month tier or higher, and you want to play the game and talk about it with us on a podcast on this here YouTube channel, you can join the fun. So play Ghost Trick. It's an awesome game. I'm excited to play it.
I've had that game for about 5.5 years, and as soon as I can get out of Tokyo, I'll be right there.
All righty. At ZMiller1902, at Enron10, at Donald Mick, and then also his podcast at NFR Podcast. That's Nintendo Free Radio. I am at CULAFIA. Don't forget to look up and subscribe to and review Nintendo News Report on iTunes. I have been discussing the reviews of this show on the show, and if we get more reviews at the closing segments of the show, I will be sure to address your review in a sensible, brisk, fair manner. So, review us on iTunes. Nintendo News Report. That's our show. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.